So Barb and Rose had been friends for 92 years, and they played softball together. They loved their softball, and they played as many years as they could. Well, Rose was coming to the near end of her life, and she said, Barb said to her, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be with you at bedside. But she said, now, Rose, when you get to the afterlife, will you please let me know what's going on and what it's like? And Rose said, sure, no problem. If I can, I will. So Rose makes her transition, and she's in the afterlife. And so one night, Barb was completely asleep, and white lights started coming in her room, and a lot of noise in the background. And somebody kept saying, Barb, this is Rose. And she said, you're not Rose. Rose died. She said, Barb, this is Rose. And I got some good news for you and some not so good news. Which do you want first? And Barb said, well, give me the good news. Well, the good news is they play softball all the time. And it's spring. It's spring all the time. There's no snow, there's no sleet, there's no, cleaning your windows to drive. It's spring all the time. And you're so young here. And everybody's young here. And then Barb said, well, what's the not so good news? And Rose said, you're going to be pitching on Tuesday. For every living thing, there's the inherent value and need to know that you are okay. All living things, there's that inherent value to know that you're okay. I'm taking today from some of the material of Michael Singer of the Untethered Soul. And that is what we all long for. That is what we all walk through on 11/11/11, is that we were claiming and affirming in and letting go of that which keeps us tethered. Anything that is working the opposite of that fundamental value that says, I am okay, just as I am. Let's say it out loud, just so you can feel it. I am okay, just as I am. And Michael Singer says that it's very interesting because we will avoid something or be willing to do something in order to feel that we are okay, right? We will avoid something or we will do something in order to feel that we are okay. And that is why the work that we do here together on the collective and the work that we do with our own individual understanding of spirit and the way that we learn that we are here not to tell you what to think, but how to think, and the way that we align you to work with your own ability to train your mind, so that there is space there, and there is that fundamental knowing that you are okay. So when we say fancy cliches like, I create my reality, I choose what's happening in my life, it's not just a theory, it's a day-to-day practice, you see. It's not just a bumper sticker, put it on my car, I create my reality, I coexist with everything and everyone. Oh, that's so impressive, so impressive. So impressive, right? But it's greater than that because there is space. I am not only consciously aware of that which I am creating, at the same time, simultaneously, I am consciously aware of that which I am inviting in. And within every invitation that I am inviting in, I am keenly aware of what that space organically would feel like with me. We are already dating in the concept of the energy field before we ever invite one another to a table. Yes? And so it's learning to work with the mind that way. And Michael Singer says there's not any other path to truth. The ultimate path is one of freedom. But in order to know that one is free, one must learn how to train all the voices that are going on in the mind. It's essential. It's like Harriet Tubman said, I saved a lot of slaves, but I could have saved a lot more if they knew that they were slaves. You see. So it's the learning that if we put time and energy into anything in our lives, elective or necessary, it's to be aware of our mind and how it is being used. For we are either controlling it in the use of, or it is controlling us. And that's why when we go into seasonal-itis, I can already see the looks in some people's eyes. Oh, it's seasonal-itis. It has you. It got you. Your mind is full. And because you need to be okay, you accepted 6 more invitations that you needed to stay home with. You see, seasonal-itis, it's a race consciousness thing. And it's all around, and the jingles were trained for them. So you can be very innocently just walking by someone and hear the jingle that's playing on the radio, and all of a sudden you go, I got to be okay. I got to avoid something, or I got to go do something, so I'll be okay. Does this connect with you? Because I got lots of material. Okay, so seasonal-itis. It's not only not necessary, it diminishes our spirit of being an empowered being. Absolutely. Borrow none, correct? And when we think about it, you know, like when you have someone that you're talking to on the phone and you decide that you want to multitask, you know, there's multitasking and there's multi-mindedness. Okay, and so you're kind of multitasking, but you don't really want them to know. That's why you don't want to do FaceTime, because they'll see you. They'll see that you're talking to them and you're on your computer writing notes, and you're talking to people in the background. But when you have your speaker on, your Android or your iPhone, and your speaker's on, and you're on a conference call or you're talking one-on-one, and they go, and all of a sudden you decide, well, I'm going to do some other things. And you start jiggling paper and you turn on water and everything. Well, what happens, it takes over the whole microphone system. Are you with me? It takes over the whole speaker system, and they'll go, whoever has, you know, or is doing things in the background, it is very annoying. You know, we're very quick to call each other on their stuff, other people, right? But I want you to hold that a minute, because that's exactly what happens with the mind. That's what happens with the mind. When you have all these voices running in your head, simultaneously, the freedom is to understand that none of them are your voice. They're not your voice, okay? But they're all going on, and they're all going on at the same time. And they are so loud in that space that's going on there. That's why it's so easy for someone to get you, because you have all this going through your mind, and it's the loudest volume. So if somebody just comes around that says, I need you to do this, you're like, where do I sign? You know, I mean, do you realize how many terms of agreement we sign and agree to every week, even on the computer? You cannot move forward until you check that you agreed to terms and agreements. We don't even know what we're giving away. Am I right? I mean, you could just be giving away all your inheritance and everything else because you don't even read it. You just go, oh, before I can move forward, I got to click in this little checkbox. Because why? Because we don't want to take one more thing in. Right? And so what we want to do is we want to step back as spiritual beings, immersed by spiritual law, and really accept that that's why young people this day and time are tired. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Tired from what? You don't have a mortgage. You don't have to, you don't have to decide what you're cooking. You know, how could you be tired? You know, I mean, really, really tired. It's because of mind chatter. Mind chatter. And that's what the study of the untethered soul is about, is to say, wait a minute, I have one term that I agree to, and that is I am immersed by spirit. I am immersed by spirit. My energy does not come from my psychology. My energy does not come from my personality. My energy does not come from my DNA, doing and never asking. My energy comes from knowing that I am full of an energetic presence and of spirit. And as long as I am entertaining all of those voices and wanting to satisfy them and wanting to get them to da-da-da, as long as I am into that, I will always have a sense of being fatigued. Does this relate to you? I mean, you don't have to say you're going through that right now. Don't nod. That's too much revealing. This is like an anonymous group here. You don't have to share in that way. But or am I being clear enough with what I'm articulating that you can kind of see it in your mind? It's kind of like, for some of us, the first time that we learned how to drive, it was absolutely overwhelming. And when you decide to do this work and you become, okay, I have one term of agreement, and that is to be in charge of what is going on in me. I am going to train myself. How do I know you can do it? Because I've done it. You can do it. You can train your mind that you have all kind of space in your headgear. Right? But when you first want to tap into it, it's overwhelming. Like the first time that you started driving a car, you're focusing on how fast you're going. You got to turn your blinker on so many feet before you decide to turn. You got to watch everybody around me. And oh my gosh, you got to know about the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is when the people come in your lane. And you have to have the insight and the foresight to be able to get that way before they come on over and get on top of you. Stay with me now. All right, so all of that said, you become aware but as you continue to practice, you just go get in the car and now you just go to where you're going. It's not stressful, but in the beginning, it not only wore you out, it wore everybody in the car with you out. So, by the way, before you employ any new employee, get in the car with them and watch how they drive. Says a lot about them. Side note, sorry. And so this is the part where we do the work. And this is the part where we were doing the work this weekend in our shamanic retreat, is that we are dissipating what does not belong to us. It's where we are letting go of what is not ours for the taking. So we create space in our closet, space in our minds. People say, well, I don't know what's happened, I just don't have the same feelings about people that I used to, and I don't know, I'm not really up to a whole lot, and I'm not really motivated anymore. It's like your heart doesn't have any room. A trained heart equals a trained mind, equals an open heart. So you can feel it and you can experience it and you can witness it. I remember so many years ago that I was such a people pleaser. No boundaries, right? And just so full of everything that I would just say yes to a whole lot of things that I didn't want to do, and agree to do a whole lot of things that I would have never wanted to be part of. But just to eliminate having the one more thing, I would just say yes rather than saying it doesn't feel right for me. That is not mine to do. And it takes a real spiritual warrior, and it takes a leader to claim that kind of relationship in your life. And I'm sure you've already had it happen because it's happened to me. People are trying to do the busy dump on me. I'd really love to talk to you, but I know how busy you are. They change their facial expression and everything. I know how busy you are. And just seeing the looks on their face, I don't know how I do all I do. You know what I'm saying? I really want to get with you, but I know how busy you are. It's like, excuse me. I literally say this. Excuse me, I am not busy. I am creative. And I create life. So please, don't do the busy on me. Because when I finish those projects, I'm going to be creating something else. You see the difference? You see the difference? So hold that space without getting into the seasonal-itis. To be able to step back and see what you want to allow in your gate, And don't do anybody a disservice by joining in on something that you don't really want to do. It's certainly not fair to you, and it cheats them the possibility of really having a full glorified experience of what life is wanting to bring them. In other words, we don't want to get in the way of somebody else's blessings by settling for anything less than the blessings that we have ourselves. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.